everyone, this is Gina. Today I'm going to show you how to make this little netted necklace with gemstone chips. I had a request to make a necklace with gemstone chips. And my favorite way to use gemstone chips most of the time is either a fringing stitch or in netting. And this I've done a little bit of both. A little bit of fringing and it's in a netted stitch. There's little gemstones here. You can see in a fringe in between our netting stitches all the way around, and then of course there's the way we turn around in our netting is around a nice bigger gemstone chip. So that's the way I decided to incorporate the gemstone chips into a design for the lady that requested it. Now I'm going to show you what we're going to need for this today. Okay, for this project you're going to need several different kinds of beads. Now let's start with the gemstone chips. And you can use any kind of gemstone you want, of course. I just got a couple strands of these dyed howlite. They look like turquoise. And I got them at Michael's the other day. Now they have a combination of big and small chips together. And I like that for this particular necklace because I wanted to separate out the big ones for the bottom part of my fringe here, on the very bottom, and then little ones for this little fringe on the top here. So you will need 44 of the bigger ones and 42 of the smaller ones. So you may want to just sit down and go through your little pile of gemstone chips, whatever kind you chose, and pick out the bigger ones and put them in a pile, and then pick out the little ones and put them in a pile, and make sure that you have 42 of the little ones and 44 of the big ones. And then, of course, they can all be the same size too. I just think that it works out a little bit better that way. So you will need a nice long strand of gemstone chips, and then you will need an 11-0 seed bead, and you'll need 2 colors of 11-0 seed beads if you so choose. Of course, if you don't, you don't have to do that. But I'm using Toho galvanized silver tone and the blue turquoise for my 11-0s, and they're both Tohos. And then I'm using the 6-0 seed bead. Now this 6-0, I don't even know what it is. It's kind of a cheaper, I don't think it's a check. It's not even consistent enough to be check. But the reason I'm using these, this is something I would normally throw aside and not use much of. But in this necklace, it gives it a little bit of texture, the inconsistencies of it. It doesn't matter that they're not all the same because I'm just using them to hold my netting together, and the inconsistency in size and the really pretty shiny finish works fine for this necklace. But of course you can use a Miyuki or a Toho or a check, whatever you'd like to use. I would like to say that this is just a lower grade. I don't know what it is. I got it on eBay and it was supposed to be a check, but if it is, it's a very low grade. And then you will need some rice pearls. This is a 5x7 rice pearl. And you will need about 88 rice pearls. You'll need about, for your 6-0 seed beads, you'll need about 46 of them. So you put about 50 of them out just to make sure. Put about 90 rice pearls out to make sure you have enough. And then you will need a 6mm round bead, and you'll need about 43, 44 of them. You're going to put out 45 to make sure you have enough, in case you drop a bead and that kind of stuff. So that's what you're going to need for this project. Well, you're also going to need a toggle clasp, 2 wire guardians, and 2 jump rings, and a beading needle, and 8-pound fire line. And today I'm going to use the Smoke 8-pound fire line. Let's get started. One quick note, with this necklace also, don't feel like you have to be trapped into using gemstone chips. As I was designing this, this is a very basic netting stitch. As I was doing this, I could see this little fringe here being a crystal and this little fringe down here being a pearl. I could see this rice pearl being a regular pearl, and all this a crystal and this a crystal here, and regular pearls up here, 6mm pearls, you know, and you could do a million things. So don't let this stop you because you don't have a rice pearl or because you don't have a gemstone chip. Just do the exact same thing I'm doing with different beads. It'll turn out beautifully. Okay. Thread onto your needle about a wingspan, a fire line, and then pick up a 6-0 seed bead onto your needle and just bring it down to the end. This is going to be our stop bead. Leave yourself a pretty long tail to sew on your clasp, 6 to 12 inches, however much you think that you would like to have. I usually like to leave about 12 inches. And then just come back through the 6/0 seed bead. Hold on to it and pull your thread through. This will create a stop. Of course, you can slide it into just how long of a tail you want. And then once you've got your tail established, then you will begin by picking up a rice pearl and then 4 of your first color of 11/0 seed beads. Mine will be turquoise. And then you'll pick up a 6/0. Then you'll pick up 4 more of your first color of seed beads, your A. And then you will pick up a rice pearl. Well, come here. Then you will pick up 4 more of your second color of 11/0s, like this. And then you will pick up one of your stones, one of your chips. And then go ahead and drop those down to the end, like this. And this is what you should have on so far. A rice pearl, 4 11/0s, excuse me, in your color A, a 6/0, 4 11/0s in your color A, a rice pearl, 4 11/0s in your color B, a stone, and then a stone chip, and then pick up 4 more of your color B and drop them down. And then you will come up through the rice pearl and pull. Then you have to tighten from both sides. But now you should have a little dingly that looks like this. And now we have to work our way back up, as this is going to be a netting stitch. It's a fairly simple netting stitch also. So once you get a couple of these done, it'll be really easy to follow. We need to work our way back up, so we are going to pick up 4 of our 11/0 seed beads, and then a 6/0, and then we're going to pick up 4 of our color A 11/0 seed beads and drop them down. You will then come up through the rice pearl. Avoid your stop bead on top and just come up through the pearl, just like this. And turn my work so it's facing you. Just like that. And that's what you should have. Now we are going to space over so we can start our next segment of netting. This is one full segment, and we're going to space over. So we're going to pick up an 11/0 in our color B, a 6mm round, an 11/0 in our color B, and a rice pearl. And we're going to drop it down. And then we're going to pick up 4 11/0 seed beads in our color A. And we are going to attach to this 6/0 right here, the one that's sticking out. We will go into that one to begin our netting. Now if it pulls apart, that's okay. We can tighten it back up. It's just basically our tail moving, just like that. So we're going to tighten it up like that. Now we need to finish the bottom segment of our netting. So what we're going to pick up, we've started the top of our first segment. So now we need to pick up 4 of our color A 11/0 seed beads, a rice pearl, and 4 of our color B, a stone, and then we will drop these down. Now try to be consistent in the bottom portion of your stone sizes. This isn't exactly consistent here, but you can pick out the bigger stones for the bottom layer of our netting, and the smaller stones you can use for the top embellishment we're going to do. But anyway, right now, just for the sake of showing you, it doesn't really matter. So I am going to then pick up 4 of my color B 11/0s. I'm going to come up through, I'm going to drop these down, and then I'm going to come up through the pearl. Try not to cross your threads. I'm doing this upside down so that it's the right direction for you to look at. So I may cross my threads a little bit, but try not to, because then it twists your netting. Try to keep your netting nice and neat. And then you can pull on both the tail and the working thread to tighten everything up as you move up your netting segment. Pick up 4 more, and we have our bottom section. We need to create the rest of our top half here. So we're going to pick up 4 color A, a 6/0 seed bead, 4 color A, 11 O's, like this, and then we're going to come up into the rice pearl. Drop these down, and come up into the rice pearl, like this, oops, and pull. Now you have your second little segment of netting. Now we need to space over and get prepared to do our next segment. So we're going to pick up an 11/0 seed bead in our color B. We're going to pick up a 6mm round and an 11/0 seed bead onto our needle. We're going to drop them down. We're going to then pick up a rice pearl and 4 of our color A 11/0s. Now that you've got a couple of segments, you can look back and see exactly what you need next. This will be next for the top half of our netted segment. Now we're going to come down through the sticking out 6/0 seed bead here. And there we have the top half of our part of our next segment here. So now we need to pick up 4 more of our color A 11/0 seed beads. And then we'll pick up a rice pearl. And then we will pick up 4 of our color B 11/0 seed beads and a stone. Like this. Drop it down. Now we need to work our way back up, so we will pick up 4 of our color B 11/0 seed beads. And we will come up through the rice pearl. So I'm just going to come right up through this pearl here. And we have the bottom segment done. We are going to work our way back up and do the upper half, the other side. So we need to pick up 4 of our color A 11/0 seed beads and a 6/0 seed bead and 4 of our color A 11/0 seed beads, like this, and then we'll come up through the rice pearl on the top. And pull, just like that. And now we need to add our space over. So what we're going to do is we're going to pick up an 11/0 seed bead, a 6mm round, an 11/0 seed bead, and a pearl, a rice pearl, and drop them down. Pick up 4 color A 11/0 seed beads, and then go into the 6/0 seed bead on your work. Just like that. Now we need to create the bottom half, so we'll pick up 4 more of our color A seed beads, and we will pick up a rice pearl, if it'll come onto my, there we go, and then we will pick up 4 of our color B seed beads, and drop them down. Now we need a stone. Pick up a stone. See if I can find a little bigger one. There we go. Drop it down. And we'll work our way back up around. So we will then pick up 4 of our color B 11-0 seed beads. And to make this loop around, we need to come up into the pearl. So let's lay it down and come up into our pearl. Okay, that wasn't good. I got my thread. I know I'm out of frame. Hang on. I'll get back, I promise. Okay, let's get back in frame. There we go. And I had my thread all tangled there. Anyway, go down around, pick up your 4 seed beads, come up through the pearl, pick up 4 of your 11-0 of your color A, pick up a 6-0, pick up 4 more of your color A, like this, come up through the rice pearl on the top. Now we've got the pattern established so you can see exactly what it's going to look like. And that helps. Once you've got this much established, you can just look at it and know what you need to do next. And you know you're coming out of this bead here, so you know you need to space over. And you've got an available bead sticking out here, so that's the one you know you'll attach into. So your space over is an 11-0, a 6mm round, and an 11-0. So we'll pick those up, and we know we need a rice pearl right underneath that, so we'll pick up a rice pearl. Then we know we need 4 of our color A 11-0 seed beads, so we'll go ahead and pick up all 4 of those. And then we will come through the 6-0 seed bead right here. Hold on to your work and pull your thread through, just like that. Now we need to build the bottom. So we need, by looking at our unit ahead, we know that we need 4 of our color A 11-0 seed beads. So we will pick up 4 of those. And then we know that we need a rice pearl. We'll pick up 1 of those. And then we know we need 4 of our color B 11-0 seed beads. So we'll pick up 4 of those. We know then that we need a stone to wrap around with. So we'll pick up a stone and drop them down. Then we'll pick up 4 more of our color B 11-0 seed beads. And we will then come up into the rice pearl. Now, we need to finish the top half. So we know we need to pick up 4 of our color A seed beads, a 6-0, 4 of the color A seed beads again, a rice pearl, or actually no, we're going to come into the rice pearl, excuse me, and drop those down, and we're going to come into the rice pearl and connect our netting. A little ahead of myself there. And now I will begin to work my way into my next unit. And we will go ahead and do this until you have 44 little dangles. That will make what I'm determining as 44 units. Now that will make about a 18 and a half, 19-inch necklace, 18, 19, right around there. After we get done, it'll cinch in a little bit. This will measure out beforehand longer than that, And that's done purposely because, as I said, it'll cinch down to that size. So if you want to make a longer necklace than 18, 19 inches, then you're going to have to make more units. And of course, just make a couple inches more than what I have made here, and your necklace will come out a couple inches longer. So what we're going to do now, we're coming out of this little bead here after doing our last unit of netting. Let's get up here. Now, we're not going to put a clasp on now, but we're going to prepare for a clasp. It's difficult to sew through this entire unit with a dangle and step on it over and over again to put on a clasp. It's also not very safe to just make a loop of seed beads and then put a jump ring on and then put your clasp on, simply because the jump ring usually will open and the thread will fall through it that's holding the little loop of beads, and you'll lose your clasping. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use a wire guardian and place it here, and then we can put a jump ring and a clasp on the wire guardian. We also do not have to sew through it a million times in order to do that, because the wire guardian is going to protect our thread. And our thread is not likely to break because we don't have any crystals or anything here. So we are just going to pick up our little wire guardian, and you can see there's little tubes on either side of our wire guardian. So what we're going to do is we're going to sew up through one of the tubes, and we're just going to pull our thread through. Now we're going to sew down the other side of the tube on the other side here, just like this. Put your needle through it, and then squeeze as you pull your thread down, because there's a little divot on top, and if you squeeze your wire guardian, you can just guide your thread into that divot so it doesn't fall over the top. Just like that, and then you can just pull it down close to your work here, like this. And then we're going to slide into this little seed bead right here, right on our very last unit, next to our 6mm. Then we're going to slide into our 6mm bead and out the little 11-0 on the other side of the 6mm bead, and we're going to pull the thread through, and just have your wire guardian just kind of lay there for the moment. We're going to pick up our flat nose or chain nose pliers, and we're just going to squeeze this little wire guardian just a little bit so it fits right in that slot perfectly, like that. And now the end of our necklace is ready for our clasping. So what we're going to do now is we're going to do one more embellishment. So we're going to back off a little bit here. And we're coming out of this bead right here. We are going to slide down. We're just going to ignore this first unit here. We're not going to do an embellishment in it. But here we're going to put another little dangle inside this little triangle here with our turquoise chips. So we're just going to come down through the rice bead, just like this, and pull our thread through. Then we're going to pick up a B-colored 11-0, an A-colored 11-0, and a B-colored 11-0, and then a chip. Now, like I said, reserve your small chips for this part. Use the bigger chips for the bottom part. And they're, the holes are down the middle. They're not vertical, so this dangle will just kind of be random the way it hangs. So I'm just going down through like this, down through my gemstone. Then I'm going to pick up another 11-0. And I'm going to use my B color because my A color is turquoise and it just blends in with the turquoise chip. So now I'm just going to go around this little 11-0, and I'm going to go back through the turquoise and back through all the beads on top of it that I just added right here. So we're just doing a fringing, and we're going to come up through the rice bead again. Excuse me, my phone is going crazy over there. Okay. We're just going to pull it up through like this. And now we have a little dangle in that little triangle. Then we're going to sew through the next 11-0, and 6/0 and 11/0. And we're going to pull our thread through. Try not to get underneath. There's a thread bridge right underneath the 11/0 on the other side. Try not to get under that because it's just going to tangle your thread up. So what I'm doing is I'm just pulling through my 6/0 right now. And then I'm going to go through my 11/0 and my rice pearl. There's a little tiny thread bridge on the other side. If you get underneath it, it just kind of tangles it up and bunches it up. So pull your thread through once you get through your rice bead like this. Don't pull it so tight that your last angle goes crazy. You want it to kind of be random looking, but you don't want it to be sticking up in the air. So just pull it enough to where your tension is good, but you're not making your beads fly around. Now you're going to do the exact same thing you did before. An 11/0 in B, 11/0 A, 11/0 B. Then we're going to pick up a little chip, and then we're going to pick up an 11/0 in our B color. And we're going to drop it down. Just like this. And we're going to go around the last 11/0 we added and up through all the other beads that we added, including the chip, and then up through the rice bead. Just like that. And we're going to pull. And then we're going to sew into the next 11/0, the next 6/0, and the next 11/0, just like this. Pull it through. Slide down the rice pearl. Pick up a color B 11/0, color A 11/0, a color B 11/0, a small chip, and an 11/0 in color B. Drop it down. Go around the 11/0, the last one you added. Go into the chip and the little beads on top. Don't miss any or they'll be really weird when you pull through. Go up through the rice pearl and pull. And we're going to do this the entire length of our necklace. And then we'll be back. Okay, so I have finished my entire second embellishment here, or my little fringing embellishment, all the way around the entire necklace. Now I have decided not to use my tail to put on my clasp. I will reserve it and then I will put the needle on and sew it back through. But we're going to put the clasp on, or our wire guardian, actually a little bit differently than I had planned, simply because I don't think the way I had planned it will work. So what we're going to do is I've gone all the way here and I've done my very last fringe. I'm not going to put one in this square because I didn't put one on the other side. So I'm just going to leave the last little triangle open. And then I'm coming up out of this little rice pearl here after doing my fringing stitch inside this little triangle. So I'm going to go into this 11/0 and 6mm bead and the 11/0 on the other side. My stop bead is still on here on my tail, and I'm just going to leave that there and I'm just going to avoid it. And I'm going to sew down, and then I'm going to sew down into this rice pearl. I want to sew all the way around this unit and come back up so that I am exiting the rice pearl again, and that way I can put my little wire guardian on exactly the way I did the other side. So I'm just going to sew through this entire unit. I'm coming down the rice pearl. I'm going to go down my first section of seed beads into my 6/0, and then into my second section of seed beads and into my rice pearl at the bottom here. It's like this. And if you can do it, you can go through all the seed beads underneath the rice pearl too. I got most of them. I'll go through this one. And then my stone. And then I will just come up this side of the stone. Into the rice pearl again. And then I will come up, oops, sorry about that. Let's see if I can untangle myself here. Now I will come up this side now. I came down this side, so I'm going to come up this side of the unit. So I'm going to travel up all 4 of these beads right here and into my 6/0 and pull my thread through, and then I'll go up all 4 of these beads and into my rice purl. Now this might pull a little loose because of your tail, so just tighten it back up. And you will be able to take this, let's just move it a little bit, our stop bead. You will be able to take that off and then sew your tail back into your work when we're all finished here. So just leave your tail there for now. Make sure everything's pulled tight. Your last unit looks okay. And then we're going to do the same thing we did on the other side. We're coming out of the rice purl. We're going to pick up our wire guardian. We're going to go into one side of it and pull it down. And then we're going to go into the other side like this and pull our thread through, squeeze it, and guide the thread into the divot. And then you're going to come into this little 11/0 right here and this 6mm bead and the 11/0 on the other side of it, and just pull. Then you're going to make sure everything is nice and neat the way you want it, and take your flat nose or your chain nose pliers and squeeze your little wire guardian so that it stays in place right there, just like that. Just leave your tail and your stop bead and all that there, and then we're going to sew all the way through all of the beads on the top and cinch this necklace together. I'll show you what I'm talking about. So we are going to sew through all of these beads on the very top row here, all the 11/0s and all the 6mm, and we're just going to bring our string all the way to the end, and then we'll tie off. So what we're going to do is we're coming out of this little 6mm bead here. I thought I went through the 11/0, but I didn't. So I'm going to go into the 11/0, and then I'm going to go into the 11/0 next to it, so you can see, and the 6mm and the 11/0, and we're going to just sew through all of the beads, just a straight shot through every single bead on the top here until we get to the end. So you're just going to make sure that you don't miss any of your beads. Try not to go under any of your thread bridges where your thread goes down into your pearls. And this will pull our necklace into a circle and cinch it up a little bit, firm it up, and give it some shape. So go ahead and sew all the way around the entire necklace, going through every bead on the top until you get to the end. Okay, so I have finished sewing all the way around. And now you can see as I pull on the string, it cinches up my necklace and gives it a nice round shape, and it firms it up a little bit. So we want to keep the tension tight, but we're just coming out of this bead here, so we need to anchor it somehow. So what I'm going to do is I'm coming out of the very last bead from going all the way around my entire top of beads, and I'm coming out of the 6mm. I'm going to sew into this little 11/0 here, if I can get my needle into it here, and then I'm going to go up into this wire guardian. So I'm coming out of the 6mm, I came through the 11/0, I'm coming up through the wire guardian, and I'm going to pull my needle through. Now my size 10 needle is a little big for this wire guardian, so I'm going to use my straight nose pliers and pull it through. Then I'm going to go into the other side of the wire guardian, right here. And again, it's a little tight, so I'm going to pull it through. Now I'm going to tighten my string. Now you don't want it so tight it bunches, you just want it to look real nice. It draws all these little 11 O's together so there's no gap in between them anymore. And it makes the necklace become more circular. And then you're just going to sew down into your work. And go down into this little rice pearl right underneath the wire guardian. Go down into your netting and just sew into your work and tie off a couple of times. So we'll go all the way down here to this rice pearl here. And then I'm going to grab my thread bridge here, make sure everything's pulled tight and nice and neat, and I'm going to just grab a half hitch knot right here between the beads, if I can keep my thread nice and neat here. There we go. I got a little knot there. And then I'm just going to sew up into these beads and around the stone. And then you can just, let's see where I'm at here, I'm on the end. You can just go ahead and sew up into your work and tie a couple of knots and just go into the netting. You really don't want to come back up to the top if you don't have to. You can just come up as far as here or so. Tie another knot, cut off your thread. I mean, if you want to sew through your work more, you can. You can go up to the top and sew through. You can sew through as much makes you feel secure. That's fine. Then go ahead and cut off your thread. And then put your needle on your tail. Take your stop bead off of your tail, put your needle on your tail, and sew your tail in just like we've sewn this side. Knot it and cut it off, and then we'll be back. Okay, so I went ahead and sewed in my working thread and cut it off and seared it with the lighter and tucked the little piece in and ended that side, and then I went ahead and put my needle on the tail side and did the same thing, sewed it through. I actually sewed it around my little wire guardian. I cannot speak today, wire guardian. I sewed around it, and then I went into my top beads here and sewed my tail into them, cut it off, and then seared it with a lighter. So now it's all ready to put my clasp on. And you can see my wire guardians are just right there, just waiting and ready. So I'm going to get my flat nose pliers and my chain nose pliers, and I'm just going to grab a little jump ring and I'm just going to open my jump ring and slide it onto the clasp or the wire guardian, and then put my clasp onto it, and then I'm just going to close my jump ring These jump rings aren't very good ones. They weren't cut very nicely. Sometimes when you buy jump rings, if they're not cut well, you have to cut them again. And I haven't done that, so I'll just go ahead and put it on and I'll fix it later. So I'm going to put on my other side now and just put my clasp on to my jump ring into my wire guardian, grab onto my jump ring and close it. And then my necklace is now finished. Let me show you what it looks like. Boop, it's the wrong way. Okay. And that is what the finished necklace looks like. It's quite pretty. And I hope you like it, and I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. And remember, this does not have to be done with chips. This can be done with pearls. It can be done with a crystal in the fringe and a pearl at the end here. The rice pearls don't necessarily have to be rice pearls. This is a basic stitch, and you can do it with any type of beads you want to and get a billion different looks. This could be one necklace that never looks the same. Have fun with it. Bye-bye.